Tino Cochino Radio.
Tino Cochino Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Jeremy Piven is hanging out on Tino Cochino Radio. There's a lot of actors that like have to really dive into that role and be that role all the time. Do you know how to separate the two, or like when Entourage is like at its peak, were you Ari?
I know, it's so funny that you're getting to that, and it's interesting. Every person kind of wants to know how much of me is like Ari, and I think that's it's interesting because I don't want to say it's offensive, but I played a very reactive, angry, over-the-top, overly emotional character.
One of the funniest characters of all time.
Thank you very much. So people, what you're really saying is, hey, dude, are you a douchebag?
Is that you?
And by the way, you're doing it in a very diplomatic way.
Thank you.
And sure, and the reality is, and no disrespect to any of you or our country, which I love and would live in no other place, but only here, as I travel the world, are people curious about that. When I did Mr. Selfridge the past 4 years in London, and people would approach me as an actor. Excuse me, Mr. Piven, I just want to say I really love the show. Thanks so much. And here, Ari,
We're ruthless
dude,
out here.
hey, bro, take a pic, Ari. Come here, this dude. What a douchebag. I love this
Does
dude.
it get old after a while? You're like, bro, like I'm Jeremy. Stop that.
You know what? It got old from the jump, but the reality is, it's my job to be present and have fun and take pictures with people and whatnot and not be angry because, some people don't know any better. My point is this. I grew up in Chicago. I grew up in the theater. I grew up in a theater family. And I've been working as an actor my entire life. By the time I started Entourage, I was 40 movies into my career.
That's nuts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so which just means I'm old. That's the only variable here. But so
seasoned. Sounds better.
Seasoned, indeed, KG veteran.
Experienced.
Right. And so I played the gay Versace salesman in Rush Hour, opposite, Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, which I talk about on stage actually. And that's one of the fun things about doing stand-up for me is people do have a connection to me. I can say, oh, I was on set in Vegas with Tucker and Jackie Chan, and people know the movie. And so I'm telling a story, and they have a reference for it. And so for me, it's really fun. I do impressions.
I saw you got Sylvester Stallone. I saw was one of them.
Owen Wilson, Mike Tyson.
Wow.
And
which one do you feel is your best? Like if you had to pick one, like it's a go-to. This is it.
I have no idea. They keep going, but the thing about Stallone is I met him. He's my hero, and I met him on a plane, and he grabbed my hand with that incredible old man strength.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Where you just can't suddenly breathe or move. Mm-hmm. And when you remember him in movies, you remember in Rocky, where he says, "You ever been to a man's apartment before? Those are my turtles, Cuff and Link." And the reality is, you don't want to be cheesy. You want to have a good time. You need a good watch.
So good.
You want to be able to hit it and not do an impression that's like, oh, that sounds like an impression of an impression.
Right. It needs to sound like Sylvester Stallone.
Otherwise, you're done.
Yeah.
And so I've been having a blast because people show up, and it's not like I don't want to be the guy that's viciously mediocre, that's running out the clock, that's doing a Q&A.
Yeah.
My friends are stand-ups. I love the form. I respect it. And so they've become mentors to me, and the community has welcomed me with open arms, which
that's what
love.
I was wondering. I mean, because this is new, right? Like this is your first time going out and really pursuing a stand-up thing.
Yes, but you have to understand. I get up every night, in LA, and I do my thing, whether it's in a dive bar or at the Laugh Factory that's packed, which is such an honor. But I remember I was following Joe Rogan, and Rogan said, "Listen, this is all we need: another actor doing stand-up."
Yeah.
And so he came up to me after my set, and he goes, "Hey, man, I was wrong. You take this very seriously," and I do. It's a form that I grew up watching Richard Pryor and these guys, and they were my favorites. And now you have so many. You've got the Chappelles and the Chris Rocks of the world and all that, and those guys to me are geniuses, and they take it very seriously. I see Chappelle getting up every night. That's just not a fluke.
Still doing it,
right?
When you do stand-up, do you ever find there's any topics off limits for you that you don't want to mess with?
Especially now, in just the world we're in, dude, everyone is so sensitive about everything.
It's interesting. I do, but I sit there and watch these comics, and that's one of the beautiful things about stand-up comedy to me, and it's almost not talked about enough. I really believe And even Chappelle said this to me. He said it's the last arena where you can truly embrace your freedom of speech. I mean, think about it, because you really can. A lot of times, even here, you guys got to watch yourselves.
Oh yeah, we got it yesterday.
Yeah.
Every day.
Oh, people call us
yesterday.
angry like all the time.
They call you angry.
Oh yeah, because of something we said that they just found offensive.
But let me ask you: Do you really focus on the comments? Does it hurt you, or
No.
do you,
No,
you
no,
don't?
no.
Because
Not at
that's
all.
the best way to be.
Yeah.
To me, it's like we're gonna provide a platform and give you the opportunity that a lot of stations won't to call in and voice your opinion.
Yeah.
And whether or not at the end of it we agree or not, it is what it is.
This is our job. We talk.
But
we
you're-
comment on things.
You're going to be able
Right.
to at least throw it into the universe, and who knows who that might affect, good or bad. We're
Right.
just trying to evoke emotion. How many stand-up shows have you done so far, like prior to this one?
Well, it's interesting because last year they threw me on stage with Russell Peters, who's like
Oh,
this
damn. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ridiculously prolific dude, and we were doing this charity event at Laugh Factory, and they're just like, you work the crowd with Russell and host the show. I'm like, wait, isn't Russell like the highest profile performer in the world right now? And isn't his thing doing crowd work? So I got thrown into the deep waters from the jump. I got the bug. You know, last year did it as much as I possibly could. And the same with this year. So, you know, I just finished my first tour, but when I'm in LA, I'm getting up every night. So, you know, listen, in terms of if you asked a comic, they would say, oh, the guy, you know, just on paper is really new. But I've been getting up all the time. I love it. I grew up doing sketch comedy. I was in Second City improv, you know, and have been in done old school with Will Ferrell and whatnot, and various comedies. So I've been navigating this space my whole life. But no, this is my second tour ever, and I'm playing Stand Up Live is a 550
Yeah, it's gonna be
seat
dope.
house.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So listen, you know, the great news is like Chappelle says, I get paid for the attempt, you know? So like, you know, come and see me sink or swim. And by the way, I love that pressure. Love it.
Have you had the bombing experience yet?
Yes, 1,000%.
How do you handle
Oh
that?
my
I bombed-
goodness.
Yeah.
Because
I
as
bombed
an
the other
actor,
night.
you've done phenomenal things, and people like hold you to that. And so when you're stepping into this new realm,
It's
almost
live now, yeah.
and you have that experience, is it humbling? Do you feel like, forget them, I'm still me? Like what is that reaction like after you get off the stage?
The reaction is, not only am I going to retire, but I'm going to climb back into the womb and start this whole life again.
Oh, my
Because
goodness.
You feel like such a charlatan, and you know that you are a phony, and that like maybe you know everything you thought wasn't valid. Because you know I got up there the other night and I said, you guys are probably wondering what I'm doing up here, and it was a dive bar. No one's in there. Couple comics in the back. I'm the only white boy in the room. No one's there to see comedy. They're there to see the DJ afterwards.
Yeah.
And I said, you guys are probably wondering what I'm doing up here. And some dude goes, yeah, what the hell are you doing here, man? Damn. Just yelling at me. They were furious. They didn't want me there. And it's my job to get those guys to laugh. And I'm not just, this is going to sound pretentious. I'm not just saying this. If I can somehow move that crowd, if I can stay in it and navigate that space and get them to laugh, that's what they call the gym. That's heavy lifting. So that when I go to a place like Stand Up Live here, which is a bunch of people that know my work and dig my work, and they're there to see me, it makes that experience that much better, and it prepares me more, because I've done the heavy lifting with the dude that doesn't want to see me, and I made him laugh. Now now the people that are actually coming out to see me, now I've done the work and I can navigate that space. And you got to do it. You got to put your ego aside. It's not easy.
You got to put yourself in these awkward situations and then prevail. And then once you do that, it's like, I'm unstoppable. I can do this.
Yeah.
Because you own the feeling that I'm in enemy territory. No one wants me to win, and I've now transformed this space so that when you go into friendly confines, you're like, well, I already got this because I already did the other stuff. I just did a movie with Jamie Foxx that he wrote and directed called All-Star Weekend.
I was reading about this.
Yeah, where he plays an obsessed LeBron fan, and I'm an obsessed Steph Curry fan.
Ooh, I like you.
Yeah.
You guys are going through that right now, kind of. That's good. Well, I don't know if you're really going for Steph right now, but I mean, in real life, I mean, we're going through this right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the underdogs, and right now, even though you don't think of LeBron as an underdog, but he really is.
Yeah.
He is really an underdog.
It's the
And
Warriors versus LeBron
pretty-
right now.
Basically.
pretty much, you know. And you know, being from Chicago, I grew up watching Michael Jordan live.
That's
In fact,
nuts.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, I was thrown out of the stadium because they told me, listen, Jeremy, because they knew me as an actor, and I was filming there in town, and they're like, Jeremy, listen, there's no seats, but we're gonna put you on press row. Here's the thing: the only rule is you can't clap for the Bulls. I was like, done. I got it. And imagine you're sitting in press row. You're from Chicago, and you're watching Michael Jordan rip the rim down, and you have to sit on your hands. And I literally couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I was just jumping up and down, screaming, and they picked me up and threw me out.
Oh,
and
wow.
I remember Ahmad Rashad was looking at me, and he goes, "No, man, I know that dude." And they're like, "We don't care." They threw me out.
It makes for a good story, and it's a memory.
It is a memory, but like I didn't get to see. I only saw Jordan for a minute, and there was this joke where like I had buddies that were in his crew, and they would say, "Jeremy, MJ's here," and like even though I had an early call, I'd run there, and they'd be like, "Damn, you just missed MJ." I wanted to get a T-shirt that said "You just missed MJ" because I always missed him, and then I finally got to connect with him in the right circumstance.
That's amazing.
You know,
you go,
and
yeah.
he was everything that I had hoped he'd be. Like he answered all my questions. Because imagine being MJ. Every dude
Wants to ask something.
yeah, you know what, man? When you had the flu in 104 and you put in 43 points and Scotty was holding you up, man, how did you do that? And he'll answer any question you want.
That's
He's
awesome.
That's
good to go.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been horrible if you met him and then he was a douche. Like,
Yeah. Oh, I
like,
hate when that
damn
happens.
it,
I can
bro,
see that,
what?
though.
I sat on my hands for you. Oh, I tried to.
I'd get the flu for you.
Yeah, but then MJ, of course, he isn't. We all have an off day,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you have
true.
to be okay with the haters. But it's my job to rock this crowd, and I love it.